Wittenberg, Germany. 1766. Astronomer Johann Daniel Titius proposes that there is a consistent pattern in the layout of the planets of our solar system, except for one highly unusual anomaly.
The distribution of the planets in the solar system has always been a puzzle. They seem to be spaced out according to some sort of mathematical arrangement, but there's a big gap between Mars and Jupiter. And when you look there today, what we see is the asteroids, lots and lots of rocky fragments.
The discovery led astronomers to conclude that there had to at one time have been a planet between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. And what lies within this gap now is an asteroid belt. Many scientists speculate that these asteroids are the remnants of a world that was destroyed thousands of years ago by some cosmic collision. But according to ancient astronaut theorist Zecharia Sitchin, the destruction of this lost planet may not have been due to natural causes. As evidence, he cited the stories of the oldest known civilization, the Sumerians.
The Sumerian myths point to the idea that there was this phenomenal cosmic battle, that the gods fought amongst themselves across the cosmos, one planet fighting another planet, and that in fact one planet was completely destroyed during this cosmic battle. And as a result of that, they destroyed their homeworld and had to reestablish civilization on a new planet.
Is it possible that there was once a planet between Mars and Jupiter that was home to intelligent life? And if so, might its destruction have come as the result of an alien war? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that a recent NASA discovery may provide evidence that the survivors of this conflict took refuge on a celestial body located within the asteroid belt. On February 19, 2015, NASA's Dawn spacecraft sent back to Earth images of mysterious bright lights reflecting off the surface of a dwarf planet called Ceres. While some scientists have suggested that the lights are the result of something natural, like an ice field or escaping gas, higher resolution images have failed to uncover the true cause of the reflections. 4 months later in June, the Dawn spacecraft captured even more incredible images. Images that reveal what looks like a 3-mile-tall pyramid.
These are possibly technological structures. So this brings up the question, is it possible that these were built by extraterrestrials? Instead of looking at the creation myths from Sumer as mythology, maybe this is scientific data that we should be revisiting.
Might further exploration of Ceres reveal evidence that it once served as refuge for the survivors of an alien war? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim that according to the Sumerian texts, these warring extraterrestrial factions also took refuge on another planet, Earth. And they propose that stories found throughout the world of gods waging battle in the skies suggest that this otherworldly conflict continued once the survivors reached their new home planet.
All over the world, we're seeing evidence of these ancient wars that took place. They took place in Greece, they took place in Norse mythology, all throughout Mesoamerican symbolism. And consistently, what we're seeing is some sort of battle for control over the Earth.
London, England. March 19th, 2002. Officers with the British National High-Tech Crime Unit arrest 34-year-old Scottish systems administrator Gary McKinnon, charging him with hacking into top-secret Pentagon and NASA computers over a 13-month period. In response, McKinnon goes public, claiming he was searching for government-suppressed information on UFOs and alternative energy. But he says that what he found instead is evidence of an even greater conspiracy.
Without doubt, the most fascinating discovery that McKinnon said he made were files that referenced something called non-terrestrial officers. McKinnon talked about how these officers were supposedly assigned to certain ships that began with the designation USSS, suggesting United States spaceships. In McKinnon's mind, he uncovered nothing less than firm proof of a clandestine, highly classified US military space program that ran alongside NASA's regular space program.
Might the United States military really have a secret space program? But if so, why? Are they preparing for a space-based war with other nations? Or other species? According to former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer, U.S. officials are withholding information about their contact with alien beings.
I was privy to a lot of things, and some of it, for me, very frightening, very disturbing. UFOs are real. The United States government had been in contact with them.
In September of 2005, Hellyer made headlines by publicly announcing that UFOs do, in fact, exist. He would later state that it is not just one race of alien beings that is visiting Earth, but many. A claim that is supported by astronaut Edgar Mitchell, the sixth person ever to walk on the moon.
When Apollo astronaut Ed Mitchell came to Toronto soon after I went public, we invited him to dinner. His question to me was, how many species do you think there are? And I said somewhere between 2 and 12. And he said, yes, that's what I think too. What has happened in the intervening years is that the number keeps growing.
I think that just like there's multiple species here on Earth, there are multiple species out there.
I've had insiders that have told me this to my face, that we already have diplomatic relationships with a variety of extraterrestrial species and cultures.
I know, for example, that they have 2 or 3 species of greys. I know that they're praying mantis and reptilians, various sorts. And so these are the sort of the principal ones that we talk about, because it's something you can get your mind around.
Could there really be numerous races of extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth? And if so, are they all part of a unified confederation? Ancient astronaut theorists say no. And some government insiders like Paul Hellyer claim that these different alien species have competing agendas, agendas that are not always favorable for humans.
I think there is a worrisome situation that we have to look at very quickly, and that is whether or not 1 or 2 of them might covet some of our territory and might, as a result of that, want to reduce the human population. Are they interested in our best interests, or are they interested in their best interests? In which case, we should find out about it before it's too late.
Mount Olympus, Greece. Rising over 9,500 feet, this sacred mountain is the second tallest in the Balkan Peninsula. According to ancient myth, it was also the chosen home of immortal deities known as the Olympians.
Mount Olympus hides a particularly mysterious abode where the gods live in perfect immortal repose for all of their existence. Even nowadays, clouds gather around the top of it. That's where it is assumed that the abode of the gods was, up in the clouds that you weren't able to see.
Mount Olympus was viewed as sacred by the ancient Greeks, and the city of Dion, located at the foot of the mountain, became a major center of pilgrimage and religious worship in the 5th century BC.
Dion was at the base of Mount Olympus, and it was believed to be a power spot. 4th century BC, Alexander the Great came to Dion before launching off on his vast conquest of Asia. There is something about this place, something very important related to the mountain. The Greeks were fascinated by Mount Olympus, and they believed that real people, real gods, were living up there. When they saw lightning flashes, storm clouds, and when there were natural disasters, they believed the gods were angry.
The Olympians were huge sky beings who descended on Earth and had a headquarters at Mount Olympus. They interacted with humans, and the ancients believed that they were real beings.
For many years, historians believed that the Greek stories were complete myth. But then in 1870, the German archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann discovered Troy. Similarly, we have the story of the oracle at Delphi and the god Apollo speaking through the oracle. Archaeologists have now found the exact spot where the oracle at Delphi sat. So now we know that some of the Greek stories are genuine. So is it possible that the stories of the Olympians are also true?
It's possible that they were actually extraterrestrial beings who came here to influence humankind.
Could the myths of ancient Greece be true? Was Mount Olympus home to gods living here on planet Earth? And if so, might those powerful deities have been extraterrestrials, as some ancient astronaut theorists believe? According to the accounts of the Greek poet Hesiod from the 8th century BC, the Olympians were the children of the Titans, another generation of gods thought to occupy nearby Mount Olympus. Fed up with the oppressive rule of the Titans, the Olympians waged a brutal rebellion against them, using Mount Olympus as their base.
The command was done from the mountains, and the battle took place on the plains between the mountains. And the battle went on and on. The Olympians prevailed, finally capturing the Titans.
Whenever we have references to Mount Olympus, it is described to be this magnificent palace, and the temple walls were always gleaming of gold or gleaming with silver, and a lot of little lights that they described as jewels, some blinking lights and all those things. Well, if you look at that from a modern perspective, what if Mount Olympus and Mount Olympus were basically the command posts where the Olympians and the Titans drew up their battle plans? And when I say command posts, I'm talking about a functioning military outpost in the mountains for an all-out war between extraterrestrials.